It is so wonderful to be back here with you all. I've been coming to Ohio every year since 2012. How did Donald Trump win Ohio by 8 points? You all have traditionally been the swingiest of the swing states, the purplest of the states, the bellwether. Whatever you did, the rest of the country did. I know people who work in Ohio Democratic politics have been saying, oh my gosh, like this is actually different. This feels like this state is going red before our eyes. The same thing happened in other states around the country and led to Donald Trump becoming president. If you turn on cable news and tried to figure out why Donald Trump is our president today, what would the answers be? Electoral college, Russia, racism, Facebook, the FBI, Hillary Clinton, emails, all mixed together in some kind of strange stew. The reason why Donald Trump is our president today is that we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, and over 300,000 right here in Ohio. That is why your state has gone red. There is a straight line up between the adoption of industrial automation in a voting area and the movement towards Donald Trump. Most direct correlation anyone can find. What happened to the manufacturing jobs is now moving to other parts of the economy. How many of you have noticed stores closing around where you live? And why are those stores closing? It's a one-word answer. Amazon, that's right. Amazon sucking up $20 billion in business every single year. How much did Amazon pay in taxes last year? That is your math, Ohio. 20 billion out, 0 back. Most common job in most of the country is working as a retail clerk. Average retail worker is a 39-year-old woman making between $9 and $10 an hour. What is her next move when the mall closes? When you all call the customer service line of a big company and you get the bot or the software, you probably do the exact same thing I do. You dial 000 human to try and get someone on the line, right? 2 or 3 short years, the software is going to sound like this. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? What can I do for you? You might not even realize it's software. What is that going to mean for the 2.5 million Americans who work in call centers right now making $14 an hour? I just spoke to a group of 70 CEOs in New York and I asked them how many of you are looking at replacing back office workers with artificial intelligence and software. Guess how many hands went up out of 70? All 70. We're in the midst of the greatest economic transformation in the history of our country. It hit manufacturing, it's now going to retail, food service, transportation. Driving a truck is the most common job in 29 states, including this one. There are 3.5 million truckers in this country. My friends in California are working on trucks that can drive themselves. They're on our highways right now. UPS just invested. What is that going to mean for the 3.5 million Americans who drive a truck for a living, or the 7 million Americans who work in truck stops, motels, and diners that rely upon the truckers getting out and having a meal? This is the nature of the fourth industrial revolution, and like it or not, Donald Trump is not the cause of all of our problems. He is a symptom. He's a manifestation. The challenge is to solve the problems that got him elected in the first place, and this is your responsibility. There's an Asian man running for president who wants to give everyone $1,000 a month. You remember hearing that? Some of you liked it the first time, nothing like the first time. And the first time it sounded like a gimmick, a joke, too good to be true, will never happen. But this is not my idea. It's a deeply American idea embedded in our DNA. Thomas Paine was for it at the founding of our country, called it the citizen's dividend. Martin Luther King fought for it in the 60s, called it the guaranteed minimum income, and it is what he was fighting for the day he was assassinated in 1968. 1,000 economists endorsed it in the 60s, and it passed the U.S. House of Representatives twice in 1971. Under Richard Nixon. It was called the Family Assistance Plan. What is the oil of the 21st century? Software, self-driving cars and trucks, big data. How many of you saw the study that said that our data is now worth more than oil? Raise your hand if you saw that study. Keep your hand up if you got your data check in the mail. Where did the data check go? Did it get lost? It went to Facebook, Amazon, Google, and the other big winners of the 21st century economy. If we put a mechanism in place so that we all get our fair share of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every Facebook ad, every robot truck mile, we can easily afford a dividend of $1,000 a month. This is the trickle-up economy from our people, our families, and our communities up. This is the vision we have to take to communities around the country. After I'm president and you get the money, where are you going to spend it in real life? Where would the money go? Rent, college, philanthropy, I like that person. How much of it would stay right here in Ohio? Almost all of it. A little bit of it would float up to the cloud, upgrade your Netflix or buy something extra on Amazon. But most of it would go to daycare expenses and car repairs you've been putting off and Little League signups and Democratic Party dues perhaps. This is the way we reverse the decline in many communities around the country, particularly rural areas that are being left behind. The truth is that our economic measurements have gotten it all wrong. How many of you were excited about GDP when you woke up this morning? You laugh because it's ridiculous. We're at record high levels of GDP, also at record highs, anxiety, depression, financial insecurity, student loan debt, even drug overdoses and suicides. Life expectancy as a country has declined for the last 3 years. Do you all know the last time American life expectancy declined 3 years in a row? The Spanish flu of 1918. 100 years ago, global pandemic that killed millions. If GDP is increasingly meaningless, what would actually get you excited if it got better here in Ohio? And as an illustration of this, my wife is at home with our 2 boys right now, one of whom is autistic. What is her work calculated at in GDP every day? 0. And we know that's nonsense. We know the work she's doing is among the most challenging and vital. Any parent here knows what I'm talking about. It's the best work there is, but it's also among the hardest. GDP is leading us in the wrong direction. It's 100 years old. What would lead us in the right direction? How about childhood success rates, mental health and freedom from substance abuse, clean air and clean water, health and life expectancy? We can build our economy around these measurements in the 21st century. I will present these measurements, the real measures, to you all every year at the State of the Union as your president. I'll be the first president to use a PowerPoint deck at the State of the Union. The first time you heard about my campaign, you thought, well, that's not going to go very far. I was 4th in the nation in a recent national poll. My campaign just raised $10 million in the last quarter, and 99% of it was small donors. Average donation $30. And I am one of only 2 candidates in the entire Democratic field that 10% or more of Donald Trump voters say they will support in the general, which means when I am your nominee, we win the whole thing in 2020. That's just the math, Ohio. I'm a math guy. In 2016, said he was going to make America great again, and what was Hillary Clinton's response? America is already great, and that did not work. That was not the right answer. We have to acknowledge the depth and the severity of the problems that are racking our communities, but then we need real solutions that will actually improve our own lives. Donald Trump got some of the problems right, but his solutions were the opposite of what we need. Build a wall, turn the clock back, bring the old jobs back. We have to turn the clock forward. We have to accelerate our economy and society as quickly as possible. We have to evolve in the way we think about ourselves, our work, and our value. And I am the ideal candidate for that job because the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. Thank you very much, Ohio. I love you all. Let's make America think harder. That's how we're going to move this country forward, and that's how we're going to win.